Hi, this is Janice Cookin, and this is Mplus Workshop 5, and we are going to talk about our final two demos, and we're going to talk about demo 18 and 19, leading up to 19, which is a moderated mediation. Demo 18 is going to look at the top part of this. So we are predicting reading scores using math scores. We have a hypothesis that part of that will be mediated by the effect of social studies scores. But then we are also going to look at school type, where school type is this public-private dichotomous variable. And so we're looking at the moderation of this effect. So this is, the mediation is being moderated by this interaction between math and school type. So I'm going to start by first of all looking at demo 18, which is just the mediation, and then follow up with demo 19. All right, so let us look at demo 18. Let me move this over. Here we go. Okay, so in demo 18, we are using the HSB2 data set again, and we're only using 3 variables: math, reading, and social studies. And again, I'm using a bootstrap because for my estimator, but I'm setting it at a very low level just for simplicity. These are the model statements: reading on math and social studies on math. I also want to look at the indirect effects, so I always like to put this model indirect, and I want to have confidence intervals. All right, so let me run this. Here we go. And here are our effects. So right now we see that both math and social studies are significant predictors of reading, and math is a significant predictor of social studies. So there is a mediation effect. Now, just again, a little warning that just because the mediation statistical model runs doesn't mean there's a causal effect, because there are many more constraints that you would put on this to be able to say that it's a causal effect. That's just a little reminder for those of you who are trying to establish causal effects. All right, so now I'm going to look at, one of the things I haven't showed you is the diagram option. So just let me show you that for this particular model. And you can see that this is in the shape of a mediation model. And just so you know, if you needed to use this for a graph or figure for a publication, you can move those around. Those numbers represent the coefficient and the standard error. Move this over, and that is the residual variance, which in this particular module we haven't talked about at all. All right, so there you are with the diagram, and let me close this all up, and now I'm going to open up demo 19. So demo 19 is a little bit more complicated, and so I have included the school type and this SCH in math, where I'm going to be putting together school type and math as a interaction term, and then I'm going to define the term public. All right, so all of that is the same. Now public equals school type, but if school type equals 2, then public equals 0. So now I have a categorical variable, public. So when it's a public school, it has a value of 1, and when it's not a public school, it has a value of 0. And then I'm also defining this interaction term. All right, so now next comes my model statements, and I'm putting these all as separate values. I started to actually write out a bunch of code on plotting, and I realized this was getting to be very lengthy, so I'm not going to do that at this time. I may put that together. If you have an interest in that, I'd be happy to work with you, because through Mplus, they have a demo on their site, the example 3.18 in their standard set of examples. that has a lot of information. It has a good example of how to set this up for plotting. And I got started with that, and I was spending an awful lot of time on it, which can happen. And I decided to save that for another day. All right, so we've got the model and plots and sample statistic and standardize. And so now I'm going to run this. All right. So now we see everything worked well. But as we put on the interaction terms, we see that this interaction term is a significant predictor of social studies scores, but is not a significant predictor of reading scores. How to interpret this would take some time, and I just wanted to get this to you as a last step so you could see how a mediated moderation would work. Let me go ahead and look at the diagram, because I think that's very useful. And I don't know if you have seen this. School type is in there. It does calculate its variance, and so it will be in the diagram. But here, this basically looks very similar to this model for demo 19, only the one from Mplus. You find it? No, there we go. Nope. I have lost it. Where did it go? All right, let me try and get it again. There it is. Okay, so there it is. And it looks very similar, and this also has, it shows that these three are correlated, and it has the paths. Now, if in your model you think that these are not correlated, well, obviously they are going to be correlated to a certain extent with school math, but you could, because they is a function, it would become 100% correlated there. So you can change your model constraints if you like. You can actually set up some different code to be able to plot the moderated mediation. But let me show you one other thing, and that is, here are the Mplus Users Guide. And if you want to know more about this, two places I would suggest you go. Here is a moderated mediation with a plot of the indirect effect. And then one other place, and that is it's a new Mplus book called A Regression and Mediation Analysis Using Mplus. I'd mentioned this earlier. I don't own this, but I think I might be getting it because it looks like a really terrific book. And unfortunately, they do, unlike the user's guide, they do not provide this free of charge in PDF form. They also have all the examples here. And so, for example, here are lots of simple mediation type examples. And here are special topics including moderated mediation and different types of mediation where you have multiple mediators, two-group analysis, all sorts of things. So that's all I have for workshop 5, and I hope if you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope to see you again during workshop 6.